Chargers draft analysis. This time, we're going to start to break down and talk more about LSU's wide receiver, Malik Nabers. Could the Chargers potentially use their first-round draft pick and going and picking up the kid from wide receiver university, LSU? This and more here on Charger Syndicate. Going on, you guys? Jake Silva here on Charger Syndicate. If it is your first time ever here on the channel, I encourage you guys to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button to keep you up to date on future and past videos as well of everything you need to know about Chargers, news, analysis, and so much more on your favorite team. So, guys, we're getting into it with the Chargers draft analysis. We last did Brock Bowers, and this time we're getting into LSU wide receiver Malik Nabers. So Malik Nabers, to kind of talk a little bit about his background, the youngster from Youngsville, Louisiana, and somebody who went into the school of LSU closest by to his hometown. Malik Nabers is definitely an offensive threat to be reckoned with, and a guy that we've been talking about and seeing from the NFL Draft Combine, and seeing how his athletic abilities and his catching skills as well really does translate to the next level. So we're going to get into it with some of his stats that he's had from 21 all the way to 23 at LSU. So the first year he had at LSU at 21, he had about all of his career lows from there, where he had 28 catches, 417 yards, 14.9 yards a play with 4 touchdown receptions as well to go along with that. Now, you have to account for that LSU in 21, they were basically building up a lot of the draft stock for now Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase. But at least Malik Nabers was able to get a really good look of what Chase was all about, and also training along with him to be the best college receiver that he could be in the SEC and at LSU as well. So Malik Nabers the following year really started to make a pop, but of course the scores did not end up translating it itself. But he did have 72 catches, 1,017 receiving yards, 14 yards a play, and 3 touchdown scores. So it started to build up to get better up to that point. But Malik Nabers did not exactly hit the third gear that he ended up doing here in 2023. And you'll notice he had career highs all across the board in 2023, where he had 89 catches, with 1,569 yards, with 17.6 yards a play, and 14 receiving touchdowns. He was a part of that year that Jaden Daniels ended up winning the Heisman Trophy as well. And the fact that this was a guy who knows how to run his routes very consistently, but is also somebody that can also make big-time plays, whether he is contested or he's basically making hard throws that is given to him, and he still makes something out of nothing from a lot of these plays. Malik Nabers is somebody that has really been thrown around for the Chargers because of the fact that they're trying to make up for the Quentin Johnston pick. It is so tempting because of the fact that this guy is such a big-time playmaker, but at the same time, there's more needs and there's more positions that they really have to account for as well that they need to start to get better at. I would love to see this guy, in the Chargers uniform, but only for reasonable parts on this. Because at the same time, if they don't decide to go and get Brock Bowers, this is a guy that I think could definitely end up helping with the wide receiver role, because they need to get elite playmakers on the offense and helping out with Justin Herbert, because the only one they've got is Keenan Allen. And so I think Malik Nabers could very much plug himself into a very, very strong offense that's only going to get better. Now, the draft combine analysis that they've had for Malik Nabers is that his production score was at a 96, and it was first amongst all of the wide receiver combine ranks. But the only thing was the athleticism score was a 73 at least a 28. So it still was good enough, but his total score ended up accounting and went to 89. Now, the thing that he does possess is he has a much explosive post catch, which means that once the ball is in his hands, oh man, he's going to hit third gear right away. So the one thing of the draft analysis is one of the NFL analysts, Lance Zierlein, ended up comparing Malik Nabers' his abilities to a familiar LSU wide receiver, Justin Jefferson. So he's about closest to the two, but I think Malik Nabers, to some degrees, he's going to be somebody that's got pure explosiveness and a talent that I think really, really will be a force to be reckoned with no matter what offense he decides to go on. Now, there are a couple teams that have been looking into a guy like this, but the Chargers have been on the radar with him, and they really want to make up for the wide receiver pick that they had in Quentin Johnston. Now, even though I'm not going to condemn Quentin Johnston because of how things really acted up for him last season with Brandon Staley's, inconsistencies and more, but I think you look at a guy like Malik Nabers, he'll be another big-time playmaker. And the other thing is, this also gives a little bit of a reassurance for a guy like Keenan Allen that's also going to be coming up in age as well. So the strengths that Malik Nabers really does possess is his skills and traits needed to produce effectively on all three levels as a pro, which basically means he's got three different gears he hits on. He hits on when it comes to his route running abilities, hits on when he gets his pass catching abilities, and then he gets explosive. Those three traits alone is what makes him such a force to be reckoned with and is so elite at the elite level. He glides and burns past defenders deep and or pushes them into retreat for easy stop routes. That's a great strength to have, especially when you got, a bunch of corners that either play man-to-man or they play a little bit more of cover ball. This is something that Malik Nabers is very, very strong at. So it doesn't matter whether he gets contested or he's got at least an open line, but maybe the throw is not that great. He's still able to make plays, but at the same time, he glides and burns past defenders and just kind of has them second guessing all the way up into that point. Also changes speeds inside the route to tilt defenders off the break point, which means he could be either starting outside, but yet gliding his way inside with more of his feet abilities, his athletic abilities that allows him to do that. But at the same time, he frames up defender to finish contested catches underneath, which is really important when it comes to playmaking skills, because a guy that could do that is one that his draft stock is going to be absolutely unbelievable. Now, the only thing we look at from his weakness standpoints is he runs free into big spaces, but needs additional route schooling. So he has the route, he has the idea, but I think we could definitely shape him up as one of the top tier wide receivers, as long as he's able to adapt into the NFL level type of route running. But here's the other thing. You're going to be learning from one of the best in route running in Keenan Allen. So I think if you are a student amongst his teaching, then you're going to be one of the most elite wide receivers in the league. And I really truthfully believe that. The other thing is inconsistent hip sync to snap routes off at crisp angle is one of the things he needs to really work on. But the other thing is would benefit from eliminating wasted motion in early phases of the route. So even if they have to change up a little bit more up on that line, he's got to be able to basically be set and be ready for that if in case an audible does really happen. And he's got to mix some things up, change some things up to keep the defenses off guard. That is one of the things that Malik Nabers really has to prepare for. And I think once he starts to learn the playbook, develop that relationship with Keenan Allen and Justin Herbert, he'll be a guy that's going to be a force to be reckoned with all the way through. But there's a lot more strengths than there really has been of weaknesses with Malik Nabers. So maybe he may be the dynamic answer that the Chargers could potentially look for when it comes to a playmaker. But there are more needs involved. So if they decide to go with a wide receiver this year, I won't be mad at it. I think that he definitely is a big-time playmaker, but hopefully the Chargers are able to solidify other areas as well that they could build consistency, especially when they're trying to fix up for last year's mistakes. There you have it, guys, here on the draft analysis on Malik Nabers. Remember to like, follow, subscribe, and hit the bell button to keep you up to date on more future videos that we will have coming out here. Jake Silva signing off, and we'll see you guys on the next video of Charger.